First tonight, that extreme heat continuing throughout the area.
Let's take a live look now from the Beaver Creek area from our Eco Plumber Skycam and send it straight over to Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters.
Yeah, yet another warm, muggy evening out there. Heat advisory still in effect. This stays in effect through 8 p.m. on Saturday, anticipating the heat and humidity to get our heat indices to right around 100 degrees over these next couple of days. So make sure you're keeping yourself nice, cool, and hydrated still. I know it's been a long stretch, but we still have a couple more days to go of this. We got 80s right now, 83 Dayton, 79 in Troy, 83 in Sydney. So it is a very warm evening. Our dew points, measure of moisture in the air, all of us for the most part sitting in the 70s and 60s. Oxford likes to come in at 34 at this time, which is not accurate, but here's a look at what it feels like. It feels like 87 in Springboro. It feels like 86 in Dayton right now. And we'll get into the mid-70s overnight with a partly cloudy sky. I'm tracking the rest of the weekend forecast, what it's looking like for the air show coming up.
Well, those scorching temperatures expected to stick around through the weekend. However, some of them, or what we're really going to want to be mindful of, are the ones in our cars, of course. Gwyneth Falloon spoke with the experts and joins us now live. So, Gwen, just how dangerous is it to leave a little one or a pet in the car?
Elise, it can really be detrimental. That's actually the word doctors with Premier Health used when I spoke with them earlier. Our cars can really be like ovens, and it really just takes a few minutes for those temperatures inside to start to climb. The Miami Valley experiencing extreme heat, one of the leading weather-related causes of death every year.
10 minutes is dangerous because it starts the cascade, but also allows a lot of sunlight and UV radiation to get inside that car. If there is no air moving through there, then it just heats up that air that's in there and it continues to heat it up.
Dr. Joseph Allen with Premier Health warning just 10 minutes inside a hot, not running car can be costly.
It's not uncommon to see those temperatures climb into the 120s, 130s.
It's about 6:45 at night. My phone currently says it's about 90 degrees. Let's see just how hot it is inside one of our cars. I put this thermometer on the dashboard of one of our news cars about an hour ago. It's reading at just shy of 130 degrees, nearly 40 degrees higher than what the actual temperature outside is.
What we tell people is that the car is essentially like a little oven. So as soon as you close those doors and leave the animals in there, even with the windows down, I mean, it still gets really hot really fast.
That's why Caitlin Beecroft with Sixa says you should be looking out for your pets.
It can be incredibly dangerous to leave your animals in the car, even if you're just running in for a minute. The only places that they are able to get rid of that heat is through like panting with their mouths open or their paw pads.
And Dr. Allen says everyone should get into the habit of double checking their back seat for pets and kids.
It's easy to kind of get into your environment. You drive somewhere, you got an errand to run, and you just jump out and go, and it's easy to kind of forget about them.
These temperatures, they really are very serious, but accidents, they can happen. It's important to remember, if you see something, you should be saying something that is going to be crucial. You could save a life. Back to you.
The heat definitely on in the Dayton area, and of course everyone is looking for ways to cool off. Eli Burgett had the chance to speak with many people in the area on what their plan is to beat the heat.
Well, with temperatures reaching the mid-90s today, people in the area have been trying anything and everything to stay cool. That's pretty good. You can do this in a number of ways, but one of the ways you can do it is visit your local cooling center or a splash pad near you.
Based upon what I'm seeing, it looks like it's a pretty cool park. I like the water component. Looks like the kids are having a great time. I'm actually thinking about hopping in there myself.
Aside from the several cooling centers you're seeing on your screen right now, the Dayton area offers plenty of spaces for people to cool off. Dozens of Dayton residents decided to go to their local splash pad at Riverscape Park in hopes of beating the summer heat. Despite the heat, several park goers are taking the opportunity to get some exercise in while making sure to fill their bodies with cold fluids. You can find an extensive list of cooling centers in your area on Dayton247now.com. It's funny, one of the groups that I came up to today, when I asked them what they were doing to beat the heat, they simply said, Eli, we're just trying to stay chill out there. No pun intended. Back to you.
Well, since the extreme heat is expected to continue into air show weekend, we spoke with a flight nurse about what they're doing to keep people safe.
as we age, we lose some of those compensatory mechanisms that allow us to sweat and things. So the elderly are more at risk for dehydration. So they need to drink more, keep an eye on them. They're also on a lot of medications that may impact them, make them more sensitive to the sun. As far as kids go, those stroller covers, make sure that those are breathable. Infant carriers can also hold heat, so make sure kids as well as elderly are getting those fluids and staying in the shade.
Now, Oakley also says there will be cooling and water stations throughout the event and to ask aid staff for medical assistance if needed.
Well, we also had the opportunity to speak with this weekend's headliner, the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. They flew in yesterday and are going to be taking to the sky this weekend in 6 powerful FA-18 Hornet fighter jets. They're going to showcase their precision flying as close as 18 inches apart, reaching speeds of up to 700 miles an hour.
I remember coming to the Dayton Air Show as a kid, and I remember when I lived in Tip City, I could see them from my house. I now know that it's a part of our performance radius to go outside of the Dayton airport, but I remember looking at the jets when I was a kid, and I was thinking maybe one day they would just like tip a wing and wave. And now I know that, of course, for safety of flight, we don't do that, but it's such an incredible experience to come back and see what we do now and think about what I thought as a child, and to get to inspire other kids to do what they want to achieve their dreams.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, the Blue Angels' first air show was back in 1946, and they fly in 32 shows a year.
And thanks to Dream Flights and Legacy Flights, a couple of World War II replica planes arrived to give very special rides. That nonprofit, they're giving both active service members and veterans a chance to fly in those planes. Today, a Vietnam vet had the opportunity to participate in a Dream Flight and shared some of that unforgettable experience.
It's a dream come true. Like I said earlier, whenever you are a pilot, anytime you can get back in the air and go up for another flight, it's one of the best things you could ever dream of. It's fantastic.
Now, Miller was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam who says anytime he can get back up in the air, it's a good time. In September, the two organizations will reach over 7,000 flights successfully flown, and they have no intention of slowing down.
Well, tonight was the Ford Oval of Honor presented by Reynolds & Reynolds. The ceremony took place at the National Museum of the United States Air Force. Now, it recognizes veterans here in the Miami Valley for their commitment and sacrifice. We spoke with one of the inductees about what it means to him.
I came home in '69. I didn't receive my first thank you until 2008. So this is icing on the cake, if you will.
Well, Michael, or Mick Dayhart, is a Vietnam veteran. He was drafted at 25 and served with the Army as a Staff Sergeant E6. Our crews will be out tomorrow morning bringing you the very latest live ahead of course, the Dayton Air Show.
This Texas man behind bars tonight after drugs and weapons were found in his car, police say. Now, the Butler County Sheriff says 53-year-old Brian Miller was pulled over by deputies on I-75 a little after 8 this morning. That's when they say they found cocaine, a handgun, and ammunition. Miller was arrested and faces drug and weapon-related charges. He's currently being held in the Butler County Jail. Also, an investigation underway tonight after an SUV crashed into a bank. That happened around 9:30 this morning at U.S. Bank on North Main Street in Springboro. The driver was treated and released from the scene, but is expected to be okay. No one else was hurt. Unknown right now what led up to that crash.
Well, the Ohio Department of Transportation is noticing something unsettling, and that's the amount of crews that have been hit so far this year. In fact, the number is increasing in just the last 10 days. Generally, Bork live tonight by I-75. So generally, how many crews are we actually talking about?
Yeah, Elise, ODOT's Southwest Regional Public Information Officer tells me that 49 crews have already been hit this year, saying that's a rather high number. She says people need to not only think about the crews' safety, but also their own.
Obviously, even one crew is one too many, but we are constantly working to remind drivers that we want to make sure everyone gets home safely.
The summer months are here, which means more road work and construction on local roadways. On June 10th, ODOT posted on Facebook that 46 crews had been hit across Ohio. In just 10 days, that number has already increased by 3 to 49. Mandy Dillon, ODOT's Southwest Regional PIO, says drivers need to pay extra attention to I-75 around Dayton, where major construction has lanes reconfigured.
you may need to veer in a direction that you don't typically go into. Lanes may have switched or shifted a little bit. And even if you're somewhat familiar with that work zone, the person in front of you may not be.
Dylan says one of the main factors they're seeing with drivers hitting crews is speed. Drivers need to slow down and eliminate distractions like cell phones. She also says it's more than just ODOT crews drivers need to look out for.
Any crews on the side of the road, be that emergency crews, ODOT crews, law enforcement, the law is to move over. And if you're not able to move over, definitely slow down.
Dylan emphasizes that the job these crews do is dangerous.
We have had crews that have had severe outcomes.
Dylan says she knows construction and road work can be frustrating for drivers, but drivers need to keep in mind that these crews are out there for a reason, which is to improve the roadways and ultimately make them better for drivers to be on. Back to you in studio.
Tonight, an Ohio man is in critical condition after being hit by a roller coaster at Kings Island. We're going to hear from an employee who was there when the accident happened.
Plus, I'm tracking that heat continuing on. I'll let you know when we'll finally have some relief. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Here's what I know.
And locations at gfsstore.com today.
A 38-year-old man tonight in critical condition after getting hit by a passing roller coaster in a restricted area at Kings Island. David Winter spoke with an employee who was says he was at the ride when that accident happened.
Things are not as important as your life. It can wait. There's a reason you're not supposed to go back to those areas. And, you know, it's not worth it to try and circumvent the security measures and things, because they're there for a purpose, and it can get really dangerous really fast.
It appears that's exactly what happened at about 8 o'clock Wednesday night at the Banshee roller coaster at Kings Island. This employee was at Banshee when a man with 2 children approached the greeter at the entrance of the ride.
They had lost their keys, and that they needed to retrieve them because they needed to leave. And the person up front told them, well, we can't really do that right now. You have to wait until the park closes, and then we can get them to you at Lost and Found.
But the man, appearing agitated, returned to the line and then disappeared. A few minutes later, the employee says riders returned to the station screaming.
So there were 4 people on the front row, and 2 of them had a bunch of cuts and scrapes on their legs. And 1 had blood on his face. And sometimes people, you know, get nosebleeds on the rides because of the loops and everything, so it's not too uncommon. They said that, like, we hit something. And we were like, well, what did you hit? What did you hit? We're like, we think it's an animal. Maybe a deer or something. And we were like, oh, okay, so you sure? And they were like, yeah, it was something like that.
We're not saying this employee was working at the ride at the time of the incident, only that they were there. Either way, this person has intimate knowledge of the ride, saying where the impact occurred, it reaches about 68 miles per hour and is only about 5 feet from the ground. He says employees cannot even access the area without keys, and the only way they can retrieve the keys is if the ride is turned off. The man would have had to leap 2 fences and pass several warning signs to get there.
I don't think that you could necessarily fault the park. I mean, there's only so much you can do. If someone wants to do something like that, they're going to do it. I mean, you could put as tall a fence as you want, and someone will, you know, inevitably, if they want to do it enough, they want it bad enough, they'll go get it.
Well, along with the heat advisory across the Miami Valley, an air quality alert also issued for the day tomorrow due to poor air quality. If you are sensitive, that's something that you'll want to keep in mind for the day tomorrow. Not only hot and humid, but it is unhealthy for those that are sensitive. So it's a great day to kind of soak up the AC and be indoors. Just another hot and steamy day on the way. Mostly clear skies out there right now. We do have a frontal system just off to our west. Now this is over the Rockies currently. Eventually it's going to lift its way northward, and we're going to see a cold front swing its way through, dropping our temperatures. So we'll be in the 70s overnight. Tomorrow we'll be in the 90s. Another hot, humid one. Sunshine will be with us too, so keep that in mind. Sunscreen will definitely be coming in handy. Saturday, we're going to start out in the 70s, and then on Sunday, we have our cold front that makes its way in. That will bring us a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Right now, it's looking like scattered showers, so we'll watch that very closely because, of course, the air show will be ongoing. So chance for rain and storms on Sunday before cooler air moves in.
House Intelligence Chairman Mike Turner warning of disaster today if Russia launches nuclear weapons above Earth's orbit. Now he's pressuring the Biden administration to declassify all information about this threat so world officials understand what they're dealing with. The Ohio Republican says this could become a type of Cuban Missile Crisis in space.
The advances that mankind has made during the space age are at risk, and the administration is sleepwalking into an irreversible day zero.
Well, he says such a weapon could destroy all the satellites, propping up most of the world's modern economy.
A new study says last year's train derailment in East Palestine brought pollution to 16 other states. The study says at least 11 of about the 50 Norfolk Southern train cars were carrying those hazardous materials, and while firefighters carried out a controlled burn on the cars to avoid an explosion, researchers say the pollution in the atmosphere reached large portions over the Northeast, Midwest, North Carolina, and even potentially all the way up to Canada.
Well, the Dolly's owners and manager have agreed to let the crew members return home. Those crew members were on board the ship when it struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. Court documents revealed depositions of the crew may occur in London or somewhere else and will be conducted no sooner than November of this year. All right, let's give you a live look from our Eco Plumber Sky Cam. It is no surprise. You step outside, it is warm, it is humid, it is downright nasty.
Yes, another very steamy one. Perfect for the first day of summer, though. We are officially in the summer solstice. It began at 4:50 p.m. That's when the sun's rays move directly over the Tropic of Cancer. So as this happens, we get the longest day of the year. So Earth is on a tilt. So we are tilted towards the sun. And from here until the winter solstice, our days are actually getting shorter. So longest day of the year for today. Hopefully you stayed cool today. Interesting things to note, though, that at the Antarctic Circle, there was 0 hours of daylight. Arctic Circle, it was 24 hours of daylight today. So this is what we're tracking, though. Next couple of days will be close to those records. But good news is feeling a little bit more, better, I should say, by the end of this week with temperatures back in the 80s.
We'll be right back. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Take Dayton.
Lawyers at Elk and Elk. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO.
Well, nearly 1,000 people, or homes, I should say, in the Miami Valley received boxes of protein, grains, and even fresh produce, all free of charge. The event today was all part of a food distribution at Montgomery County Fairgrounds, helping alleviate food insecurity in our communities. The Dayton Food Bank teamed up with volunteers from CareSource and members of the UD basketball team. A member from the food bank extending thanks to all those who made today's event possible.
Again, always a huge thanks to CareSource. They make this happen. A lot of us at the food bank, we've been here for a long time. We've done a lot of mass food distributions. We're also just really excited about this location. I don't think this will be the last time that folks will be seeing us here. It's just a really great setup for the work that we're doing. And so a huge thank you also to the Montgomery County Fairgrounds for allowing us use of this location.
And if you missed today's event, don't worry. There's going to be 5 more this summer. The next one is going to be on August 1st, with both times and locations being announced just a few days before.
And when kids are fed, they are, of course, fueled to thrive. But for many that rely on schools for their meals, summer can be a challenge. That's why we're partnering with Feeding America for Sinclair Care Summer Hunger Relief. Just scan that QR code you see there, and you can provide meals for kids and families right here in the Miami Valley.
We'll be right back. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.